Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, this is QnA with Fred Volume 26. This is the great new microphone special, because we are celebrating the fact that I have a new microphone, which is very nice. It's about twice as expensive as my old one, so you better treasure this moment as a great monumental step for this YouTube channel. I finally have a microphone that is actually good and proper, and yes, you might therefore hear quite a bit of difference in my voice as I record this, because the microphone is, as I said, about twice as expensive. It's more than that, actually. The old one was really rubbish. And of course this meant that there wasn't an episode last week, and I apologize for that. You might say, well, Fred, it isn't very professional of you to skip episodes because your equipment breaks down. You should make sure to have a microphone ready if your old one is broken. And I understand your point, though I must admit that if you want professionality, you shouldn't... Professionality, is that a word? Professionalism. You shouldn't come to this YouTube channel, because we don't do professionalism here. No. As you can understand, this is the least popular Yogscast anchored channel. Yes, even Carano is above me at this point, and I'll assume everyone else. This is the least popular Yogscast affiliated YouTube channel, and therefore we do things our own way, and I include you because you are like my co-workers, and you take no responsibility for what I actually produce, and you do no work, but you're still sort of part of the whole channel in a way. I think you shower me with encouragement, and but this is the way, sort of, if you think of the Yogscast as a big solar system, you have blue Cephos, the sun in the middle, and you have all the different planets representing different channels. Then my channel is like this satellite that goes around the sun very, very far away, beyond Pluto. And Pluto is not a planet anymore, but this channel is even less of a planet. This is just a small rock. It's not even round. It hardly gets any sunlight. A year takes about 20 million Earth years. It's a really distant, remote planet where the only organisms that manages to come to this planet and to thrive in this planet are the oddest, most perverse, strange, uncomfortable creatures, and but even ugliness needs to be loved. So therefore I'm going to start answering your questions right now. And my new microphone actually smells a bit like a horse. Maybe not like a horse, but like a stable, like the sort of mixture between hay and horse feces. There's a few stables around where I live, so I'm familiar with that smell. If you're like a city person from the city, you might not necessarily know the smell of stables, but it does smell a bit like that. I have to get used to it, and also I have to get used to using a new microphone, because it's actually quite complicated to use microphones. I sort of need to get a pop filter and stuff. It's very annoying. Anonymous asks, what is my favorite Binding of Isaac character? Oh yes, Binding of Isaac. If you haven't played the game is actually very good. It is a game by... well, you can read about it yourself. I don't have to explain it. I mean, it's one of those... and it's been out for a very long time. I shouldn't have to explain it at all to you. But it's a very fun game, and it's sort of quite retro-ish, arcade-ish actually, because it's a sort of game that encourages very long playthrough... not long playthroughs, but it's a sort of game that some people end up spending hundreds of hours in. It's one of those games. And my favorite character is probably Judas right now, because I like the extra damage, and he is quite infuriating when you get bad upgrades, because he starts with one starts with one heart, which is actually very little. It's not enough. It makes the playstyle very, very risky and very annoying if you get bad upgrades, but he has a lot of power. He's probably the most powerful character, and I always liked sort of glass cannon type classes in games and characters. I find those sort of playstyles quite fascinating, and I'm usually quite bad at it, but I like the idea of mastering a character. I like that much more than, just picking something that is alright or that is normal or whatever. I like having a character that I can end up mastering and getting better at. I think that some characters in Binding of Isaac seems pointless to me. Maggie seems fairly pointless because she has a lot of health, but she doesn't really have enough to sort of warrant people playing it. So I suppose some people might like her. Eve also seems a little bit pointless to me. She doesn't seem good enough, and I don't really like the idea of playing her. And Cain is quite good actually. If you're going to pick up Binding of Isaac, you can only play Isaac first because he's the sort of main character, and technically you're actually playing as Isaac all the time, only in different ways. It gets very complicated. It's a very nice and pleasant game to play. It's a sort of nice little story that makes you thirst for religion. Anonymous asks, if you were a planet, what planet would you be? Well, a small rock outside of Pluto. I've already explained this. I mean, you shouldn't bother me with these stupid questions. No, if I did get to choose a planet, I would probably go with Earth. I would pick Earth as quick as possible because that seems to be the greatest planet. Some people say that, Earth is being damaged, people are the cancer of Earth and so on, and these people are nonsensical. Earth doesn't care. Earth doesn't have any consciousness. And even if we may destroy certain parts of nature, Earth hardly cares. Earth has gone through much, much worse than humanity. And it seems like a fairly good planet to be on. It's a planet that is loved by millions. You might even say billions or trillions of humans all around the Earth. Anonymous asks, do you think that slugs have any ambitions in life, or do they just go with the flow? I've been through this before when I talked about dormice not being capable of feeling existential dread, and I don't want to go into the same trap of accidentally offending a large portion of my slug viewers, but I don't think the slugs are career people. I don't think they care about business or art or show business or whatever. I don't think that slugs have the same need to show off as humans. I think the slugs are fairly relaxed. They are slightly sort of jelly texture. They sort of jiggle and so on across the world. They don't really care about aspirations in the same way. Aspiration for them is getting to eat and getting to have sex. That's what they care about. And maybe we humans should also only care about that. Maybe if we humans stopped doing sort of stupid things like getting clothes on and going out and killing each other in warfare, and if we instead just focused on eating and then gliding around, having sex with partners that show up. I don't know where I'm going with this, and I actually don't think that living like a slug would be nice, because I think that we humans are used to having our ambitions, are used to having our aspiration, are used to trying to be civilized. Humans like to be civil. Anonymous asks, do you like being called Freddy? Freddy Reno? No, I don't care about Freddy Reno. That seems silly. You can call me Freddy if you want to, but not Freddy Reno. But but Fred is already a nickname. I don't need more nicknames. I don't mind if people start calling me Frederick. And it's my name. And I've talked a lot about my name before. And the only reason why I call myself Fred and why people call me Fred is because Frederick is considered an archaic, an old-fashioned name for English speakers. When an English speaker hear the name Frederick, they sort of imagine a fighter pilot from World War One. Quite posh and probably friendly with the royal house or whatever, smoking a pipe. You know, that's not too far away from what I am in real life, but you know, it's not the sort of image you want when you try to do a YouTube career, because now you want to be hip and cool with the kids. And yes, so Fred works fine. In Swedish, the sort of Swedish nicknames we use for people named Fredrik is Freddan, or Fred, although my father does call me Freddan quite often. I've been called Freddy a few times as well, but you know, that's sort of uncreative. It's a very uncreative nickname to use. But you know, that's the thing about names like Frederick, you know, really old-fashioned, normal names. I mean, it is old-fashioned, but it's still a name that most everyone knows. It's not an odd name. If you tell someone that, you know, my name is Frederick, people don't go, oh my god, your parents must have been hippies. You know, it's considered quite a fairly standard name. It is a bit old-fashioned, but it's not like being called Rain, or my name is Staircase. It's still a fairly normal name, so yes. So there's a lot of nicknames for Frederick, and people always feel inclined to use a nickname, but you know, I don't necessarily mind having my own name. It is my own name, and I think it's actually quite a nice name. And I don't mind having the name of a fighter pilot in World War One, smoking a pipe. You know, that's sort of what I would like. That's sort of what I would like to be seen as. Because this volume of Q&A was delayed 1 week, I'm going to make it slightly longer and answer some more questions. 2 more questions, so that, you know, it gets a bit longer than usual. If you like the idea of having these episodes be exactly around 10 minutes and don't like more questions, you can turn it off now. You know, consider this to be the sort of send-off. Say goodbye, see you next week. But if you felt annoyed at the lack of a Q&A last week, you can have these 2 questions as sort of my way of saying, I'm sorry, I apologize, and here's more of me. Anonymous asks, can you give me a kiss? I'm not sure how it would work, because I'm some distance away from you, and you might say, well, actually, Fred, I'm very close to you right now, and if so, I don't actually want to meet you. You know, if you've taken the time to actually find out where I am, we probably isn't made for each other, because I don't like that sort of... This is the problem with most stalkers, is the stalkers tell themselves that I'm perfect for this person, I just want to make them see it. But the fact that you need to sort of stalk them actually proves that you're not perfect for them, because, well, a stalker likely is most similar to another stalker. So if you're stalking a normal person, you're not that similar. What would be best if 2 stalkers got together? Anyway, if you want to kiss, I can kiss you through the microphone, I suppose. Let's see here. There we go. Now I kiss the microphone smelling of horse. I imagine that you smell a lot like horse as well. Anonymous asks, I could really use some cheering up, Fred. Do you have any of that? A story, or a drawing, or just some random words in Swedish? If you do, thank you, and if you don't, that's okay too. Well, you do seem like a very humble person, and I like that. But you shouldn't be too humble. You should be quite aggressive in many ways. You should take life by the horns. And, you know, I can try and help cheer you up. I mean, it's been a while since you actually sent me this message, so if you were sort of clinically depressed, you might have killed yourself by now, because I haven't answered your correspondence in like months since you sent it to me, so I apologize to family members if they hear this and know that I could have saved your daughter, and I simply had too many questions. But I can give you all 3 demands you had to me right now. I could draw you a picture, which is on the screen right now. I'm not sure what I'm going to draw, so you're going to see it here. I don't know what it is, and it's going to be a surprise for all of us. And then a story. I could tell you a story. Do I have a story to tell you? Do I have a childhood story I can tell? Back when I was a kid, quite young, around 6 years old, not 6 years old, I must have been older, 7, 8, 9, 10, 18, no, now must have been around 8. We had in my school, we had sort of planned for an evening of sort of art gallery. We were trying to be sophisticated students, even though we were 8 years old, and we were going to put up paintings and other projects all over the schools for our parents to go and watch. It was one evening, it was nice, and I decided, because I am so smart, I decided I wanted to do a one-man show. And the idea was that I was an astronaut, sort of going through space in my spaceship. And then the spaceship goes wrong. Something goes wrong with the spaceship, and I begin to crash. So I started to put a lot of effort into making the backgrounds. I wanted to have one set, so I started making the backgrounds where I would add the sort of control panel and a mirror where you can see the stars outside, and I worked really hard on it. I wouldn't be surprised if I had gotten a job in Hollywood from it. It was sort of just a white sort of piece of cardboard with black paint on it, but it was really good for my age. Then the evening came, and I was preparing myself for the role, and I realized that I haven't considered what I was about to say. I haven't written anything down. I didn't have any lines to use. And suddenly I realized that actually I don't know what to do. And B, I had no outfit, anything. I only had the backgrounds. So I came on stage and then broke down. I had a nervous breakdown. It is very odd to have it at 8 years old. When you're 8 years old, you're supposed to have no cares whatsoever. You're supposed to run around hurting yourself and laugh and be all idiotic. You're not supposed to really have a sort of anxious breakdown. But when I stood there with my great sort of painted background behind me, I just ran away, crying, feeling absolutely humiliated. And even when I got back home and I got to sit down with my cognac and pipe in my leather armchair, I couldn't relax, because that had been the most pitiful experience of my life so far. Though I did get to perform a bit later on, because I joined a musical group, so it wouldn't surprise me if people thought I was gay growing up, because I was in musicals. But then I sort of lost that. I was only about 4 different musicals I was in, and I lost that, and then I grew up normally. But for a while it seemed as if I was slightly gay, because I was in that musical group and there was only other girls with me, which, people told me, you should be happy to have other girls with you. I mean, you must be popular as the only boy surrounded by girls. And I thought, because I was very young, why would I want to be around a bunch of girls? I must have seemed like a very small little flamboyant boy. And now a few words in Swedish. Write a few random words in Swedish. Mikrofon, äpple, äppelbit, CD-skiva, affisch, vägg, skor, fötter, dörr, mask, tavla, pappa, far, fader, kläder, torkställe, ögonbryn, kärlek, hat, död, 7. Farväl, farväl, min hjärtlig kär, mångtusende godnatt.